I live in Denver, Colorado, one of the more expensive cities in the United States, and I'm sharing what I really spent last week. I'm a 26-year-old occupational therapist, and I'm on a mission to pay off $127,000 of student loan debt. So if you're into budgeting, personal finance, or just being nosy about other people's lives, you'll love this video. If you've been following along, then you know that every single Monday I sit down and I track all of my personal expenses. This is the #1 habit that has gotten me on track with my finances and allowed me to make huge financial progress over the last year. So this week we're gonna look at a Sunday through Saturday of spending. Let's start with food. We have a grocery budget of about $1,000 per month. This is for 2 people and it's relatively high because we really value high quality food. So instead of pretending like we're gonna hit a beans and rice budget, we budget realistically to make sure we have room for fresh organic produce, high quality meats, and simple ingredients. We do tend to buy a lot in bulk, so every week varies, which is why I gave you what the month number is. And we use Instacart because it saves us hours a week on grocery shopping, which is really important when we're both working 90 to 100 hour weeks. Once again, I want to emphasize how spending on things that you value is what makes money fun and useful. A lot of budgeting advice is centered on how you should make your grocery budget the lowest, how you can save as much money as possible on groceries. And while this is usually one of the more expensive categories every single month for people, and cutting down expenses here is good, I also don't resonate with finding the cheapest possible thing to fuel you. So if you also haven't necessarily resonated with that advice, and while finding a good deal is fun, finding the cheapest possible thing maybe isn't the most applicable thing to you, maybe the online face that tells you it's okay to splurge on your groceries. I have extra money every single month to put towards financial goals, and there are other people out there like me, and it's okay to spend some of your extra money on improving your quality of life, as long as you just kind of know what that looks like for you. Our shopping cart is full of fresh organic fruit because we love fruit and we don't want to have to ration our berries. So we just buy enough, and that just means that we set aside the money to make that possible. So last week at Sprouts, we got 21 items and spent $175.93 after tip. And at Costco, we spent $150.69 on 11 items, leading to a total grocery spend of $326.62. I also went out with a friend and got one cocktail, which cost $19.32. And I'm gonna be so honest with you, this is 100% the reason that I don't drink a lot. The time spent was super fun, and I'm really glad I got to connect with her, but the value for the activity just wasn't there. I feel like we could have had better conversation out on a walk than in a loud kitschy bar. Usually if I'm meeting friends at a brewery or a bar, breweries of course are huge in Denver, I will just get a soda or a non-alcoholic kombucha. But at this bar, they had some nice looking cocktails and I wanted to try one, and it was $14, and then I had to tip on top of that. And quite honestly, I probably won't buy another cocktail for another year. Let me know in the comments if you've ever spent on something and then immediately asked yourself, why did I do that? I can't be the only one. Later in the week, we spent $10.37 on Domino's Cinesticks. This is a shameless pleasure, and I of course love spending on shameless pleasures. But what's interesting is this $10 purchase brought me so much more joy than the $20 cocktail. I had no guilt or negative feelings about it like I did with that drink. Okay, let's look at the rest of our shared expenses. We have one subscription, which is $11.99 a month for Kindle Unlimited. This comes out to about $3 a week. One thing that I've gotten really good at while paying off debt is finding joy without spending money. This week I went paddleboarding with a friend. This was free because she had an extra paddleboard. Another time in the week I went for a run after work with a different friend. I really enjoy being active, and I've definitely built a circle and a community around those activities, and it happens to be that a lot of those things don't cost much money. Otherwise, this week I worked at my full-time job as an occupational therapist, or I was working on this YouTube channel. If you're new here, consider subscribing to follow along on my financial journey. We haven't gotten to my biggest expense of the week. By far, my biggest expense every single week, every single month is my debt. This past week, I made my minimum student debt payment, which was $1,064.69. What's funny is if I spent $1,000 on anything else, I think I would be shell-shocked. But every single month, I spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on my debt, and I'm used to it, I think. I'm actually pretty okay putting this money towards debt because I'm making huge financial progress. This payment hasn't posted yet, but it will bring my balance down to about $85,000. So every single time I make one of these payments, I remind myself this isn't just about the number, it's about what's on the other side, which is peace of mind, choices, and freedom. Now that you have the overview of what I spent this week, let's talk about where this spending landed in the week, because I definitely don't spend money every day, and I think that's helpful just to see kind of what it looks like. So on Sunday, we ordered groceries. Then on Monday, I spent and did nothing. On Tuesday, I went for that run, but otherwise I spent nothing. On Wednesday, I got the cocktail that was not worth it. Time with a friend was worth it. On Thursday, I went paddleboarding, but I didn't spend anything. On Friday, I made my student debt payment, so Friday was my highest spend day. And then on Saturday, we got Cinesticks. This week reminded me for sure that not all spending is created equal. The Cinesticks, worth it. The cocktail, not so much. The debt payment was a lot of money, but it's very powerful for my big picture goals. The fun thing is that when you track your spending, you can actually decide what's worth it to you instead of just wondering where your money went. So looking at the totals, all of the money that left our account this week was $1,420. The breakdown is that $1,060 of that was to debt, $326 was on groceries, and $32.69 was on just hanging out. If you enjoy content around intentional spending, budgeting, and real life finances, don't forget to like and subscribe and tag along on my debt payoff and investment journey. I will see you in the next video.